The Great Barrier Reef, Australia. The Great Barrier Reef lies in the Coral Sea, off the coast of Queensland, northeastern Australia, stretching for about 2,300 kilometers, 1,430 miles along the Queensland shoreline. It is so vast that it can even be seen from space. Covering an area of around 344,400 square kilometers, 133,000 square miles. The reef is the largest living structure on Earth. It is composed of nearly 2,900 individual reefs and more than 900 islands, forming a complex and breathtaking mosaic of lagoons, shoals, coral cays, and sandy islands. Importance: ecological value, home to an extraordinary range of biodiversity, including 400 species of coral, 1,500 plus species of fish, 240 bird species, 4,000 mollusk species, and 6 of the world's 7 marine turtle species. Provides critical breeding and feeding grounds for threatened species like the dugong and green sea turtle. Global recognition declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1981. One of the 7 natural wonders of the world, visible from space, often referred to as the largest living organism on the planet. Cultural significance: holds deep spiritual and cultural value for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, who have lived in harmony with the reef for over 60,000 years. Economic importance: a cornerstone of Australia's economy, contributing billions of dollars annually through tourism, fishing, and scientific research. Provides employment for tens of thousands in Queensland. Environmental role: acts as a natural barrier, protecting the Queensland coast from strong waves, storms, and erosion. Supports global ocean health by serving as a major carbon sink and regulating marine ecosystems. Historical background: the Great Barrier Reef. The story of the Great Barrier Reef is both ancient and ongoing. Its origins lie deep in geological time, shaped by shifting seas and living organisms. Formation and natural history: the reef's foundations date back more than 500,000 years, when corals began colonizing the shallow waters of the continental shelf. The current reef system is around 6,000 to 8,000 years old, formed after the end of the last ice age when rising sea levels flooded the continental shelf. Over millennia, tiny coral polyps built immense structures of calcium carbonate, layer by layer, creating the reefs, cays, and islands we see today. Indigenous connections: the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples have lived in and around the reef for at least 60,000 years, making them the world's oldest continuous cultures. For these communities, the reef is not only a source of food, but also a spiritual and cultural landscape, reflected in dreamtime stories that explain the creation of islands, sea creatures, and reefs. Traditional practices included sustainable fishing, reef navigation, and the passing down of ecological knowledge across generations. European encounters: European awareness of the reef began dramatically in 1770, when Captain James Cook's ship, the HMS Endeavour, struck the reef near modern-day. Cook and his crew spent weeks repairing the ship, marking one of the earliest documented interactions with the reef by outsiders. By the 19th century, the reef became an important route for navigation and trade, though also a hazard. Hundreds of shipwrecks still lie hidden beneath its waters. Exploitation and industry: in the 1800s and early 1900s, industries such as pearling, bactama, sea cucumber collection, and fishing began exploiting the reef's resources. These activities brought both economic value and ecological pressures. altering fish populations and disrupting marine habitats. Scientific discovery by the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Naturalists and scientists began to recognize the reef's extraordinary biodiversity. Expeditions revealed its vastness and ecological complexity, drawing international attention and curiosity. Modern awareness and protection in the 20th century, concerns grew about overfishing, pollution, and environmental degradation. In 1975, the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority, GBR-MPA, was established to manage and protect the reef. In 1981, UNESCO listed it as a World Heritage Site, recognizing its universal value. Since the late 20th century, the reef has become a global icon of both natural wonder and environmental fragility. Central to discussions about climate change and conservation, biodiversity and ecosystem, the Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef is one of the richest and most diverse ecosystems on Earth, often called the rainforest of the sea. It harbors an incredible range of life forms, many of which are found nowhere else. Marine biodiversity, corals, over 400 species of hard and soft corals. Corals are the reef's architects, forming colonies of tiny polyps that secrete calcium carbonate to build vast structures. Brightly colored, corals provide food and shelter for thousands of marine species. Fish, species around 1,500 to 1,600. Species of fish includes clownfish, parrotfish, groupers, snappers, triggerfish, and angelfish. The reef also hosts larger species, like the giant potato cod and reef sharks. Marine mammals, home to the vulnerable dugong sea cow, which grazes on seagrass meadows. Populations of dolphins, and occasional visits from whales, such as humpback and dwarf minke whales. Turtle. 6 of the world's 7 marine turtle species live here, including the green, loggerhead, hawksbill, and flatback turtles. Birds. More than 240 bird species depend on the reef's islands and cays for nesting and feeding. Species include terns, frigate birds, and sea eagles. Other species. 4,000 plus mollusk species, including giant clams that can live for over 100 years. Diverse crustaceans, sea cucumbers, starfish, and jellyfish. Habitats within the reef. Coral reefs, the main structures, home to most marine life. Seagrass beds, vital feeding grounds for dugongs and turtles. Mangrove forests protect shorelines and act as nurseries for fish. Deep ocean channels and lagoons provide pathways for whales and large pelagic species. Islands and cays, nesting sites for turtles and seabirds. Ecological role provides food, shelter, and breeding grounds for countless marine species. Acts as a barrier, protecting Queensland's coastline from storm surges and erosion. Plays a role in carbon cycling and regulating global ocean health. Supports nutrient exchange between shallow coastal areas and the open ocean. Global significance, considered one of the most complex natural ecosystems in the world. Supports species that are endangered or vulnerable, making it a key area for conservation. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site not only for size and beauty, but also for its unmatched ecological value. Transformations. Over time, the Great Barrier Reef has undergone immense transformations over geological eras and human history. Its story is one of natural evolution, cultural interaction, and modern challenges. 1. Prehistoric and geological formation. Coral reef growth began around 500,000 years ago during cycles of rising and falling sea levels. The current reef system is 6,000 to 8,000 years old, formed after the last ice age when sea levels rose and flooded the continental shelf over millennia. Coral polyps built layer upon layer of reef structures, creating lagoons, cays, and barrier reefs. 2. Indigenous stewardship, the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples have lived alongside the reef for tens of thousands of years. Their Dreamtime stories describe the creation of islands, corals, and marine life. Linking the reef to spirituality and ancestry, they practiced sustainable fishing and reef management, ensuring balance between humans and nature. 3. European discovery and navigation. 18th–19th century. In 1770, Captain James Cook's ship, the HMS Endeavour, struck the reef near Cook. This marked one of the earliest European encounters. By the 1800s, the reef became both a navigational hazard and a trade route, with many shipwrecks occurring in its waters. Pearling, fishing, and sea cucumber harvesting began to exploit its resources. During the 19th century, for industrial use and early exploitation, 19th–20th century, the reef's natural wealth drew industries such as pearling and commercial fishing. Unsustainable practices led to declining populations of some species. Coastal development increased, with ports and shipping lanes expanding along Queensland. 5. Rise of tourism and global awareness, 20th century. By the mid-20th century, the reef became famous as a tourism hotspot, especially for diving and snorkeling. Growing scientific research highlighted its ecological importance. In 1975, the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority, GBRMPA, was created to regulate and protect the reef. In 1981, UNESCO listed it as a World Heritage Site, recognizing its universal value. 6. Modern era and environmental challenges. 21st century. The reef has suffered major coral bleaching events caused by climate change, notably in 1998, 2002, 2016, 2017, and 2020. Rising sea temperatures, pollution, coastal development, and overfishing have altered reef ecosystems. At the same time, the reef remains one of the world's most visited natural attractions, generating billions in revenue and drawing millions of visitors annually. Geology and physical structure. The Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef is not a single continuous reef, but rather a vast mosaic of reefs, islands, cays, and lagoons. Stretching across the Coral Sea, it is the largest living structure on Earth, built over thousands of years by tiny organisms called coral polyps. 1. Formation and geology. The reef lies on the continental shelf of Australia, where warm, shallow seas provide the perfect environment for coral growth. Composed primarily of calcium carbonate, secreted by coral polyps, layers of reef have built up over millennia, covering older geological foundations. Reef formation accelerated 6,000 to 8,000 years ago, when rising sea levels after the Ice Age stabilized. 2. Structure of the reef system is made up of three main types of reefs. Fringing reefs found close to the mainland and islands, form along shorelines and are easily accessible for snorkeling. Barrier reefs found further offshore, separated from the coast by lagoons. The main body of the Great Barrier Reef is of this type: atolls and coral case-ring-shaped reefs that enclose lagoons. Many coral cays, small sandy islands formed from broken coral and sand, often hosting vegetation and seabird colonies. 3 key features of the physical landscape. Lagoons.com. Shallow waters, sheltered by reefs, shoals, and seamounts. Underwater ridges and banks, providing habitats for diverse marine life, sand cays, and islands. Over 900 islands, including both coral cays, low sandy islands, and continental islands rising from the sea floor. Deep water channels, separate reef sections, acting as migration paths for whales and large marine animals. 4. Famous sites within. The Reef Heart Reef, a naturally heart-shaped coral formation, famous in aerial photographs. Whitsunday Islands, 7-4. Tropical islands with some of the world's whitest beaches. Heron and Lady Elliot Islands, known for turtle nesting and diving. Codhole and Ribbon Reefs, famous dive sites featuring giant potato cod and spectacular coral walls. 5. Scale and visibility length, 2,300 kilometers, 1,430 miles. Roughly the distance from New York to Miami or London to Athens. Area, 344,400 square kilometers, 133,000 square miles. Larger than Italy, Japan, or Germany. Visible from outer space, making it one of the few natural wonders detectable from orbit. Notable features. The Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef is not only vast in size but also rich in spectacular natural landmarks, unique marine habitats, and world-renowned diving and tourist spots. Each feature showcases a different aspect of its beauty and ecological significance. 1. Heart Reef. A small, naturally formed heart-shaped coral formation located in the Whitsundays, best viewed from the air. It has become a global symbol of love and nature's artistry. Strictly protected, no snorkeling or diving is allowed directly on it to preserve its fragile structure. 2. Whitsunday Islands. A group of 74 islands scattered among the reef, famous for their white sand beaches. Whitehaven Beach on Whitsunday Island is renowned for its pure silica sand and turquoise waters, popular for sailing, kayaking, and eco-tourism. 3. Ribbon Reefs and Codhole, located near the northern section of the reef. Cod Hole is world famous for encounters with giant potato cod, some over 100 kilograms, 220 pounds. Ribbon reefs offer clear waters and vibrant coral walls, perfect for advanced diving. 4. Heron Island and Lady Elliot Island, known for turtle nesting grounds, especially green and loggerhead turtles. Popular eco-resorts focused on diving, snorkeling, and birdwatching. Excellent visibility and access to outer reef dive sites. 5. Cairns and Port Douglas Gateways. Cairns is the main gateway city to the reef, offering tours, diving, and cruises. Port Douglas provides access to the Agincourt Reef System, famous for coral gardens and marine life. 6. Marine life highlights. Minke whale migration. Every July dwarf minke whales visit the northern reef, offering rare opportunities to swim alongside them. Shark species includes reef sharks, hammerheads, and whale sharks, the largest fish in the ocean. Bird sanctuaries. Cays and islands host thousands of nesting seabirds, turning parts of the reef into seasonal bird cities. 7. Underwater landscapes. Lagoons.com. Shallow pools protected by reef walls, filled with colorful corals and fish. Drop-offs and coral walls. Steep underwater cliffs teeming with large marine species. Seagrass meadows, crucial feeding grounds for dugongs and turtles. Cultural and symbolic significance. The Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef is not just a natural wonder. It is a place of deep cultural, spiritual, and symbolic meaning for both indigenous Australians and the global community. 1. Indigenous. Cultural significance. The Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples have lived alongside the reef for tens of thousands of years, making them the oldest continuous cultures on Earth. For these communities, the reef is more than a resource. It is a living cultural landscape. Dreamtime stories. Ancient myths explain the creation of reefs, islands, fish, and sea creatures. For example, some stories describe ancestral beings shaping the reef's islands and corals as part of the world's creation. Traditional knowledge passed through generations. It includes fishing techniques, navigation skills, and ecological stewardship that ensured balance between humans and the reef. Today, indigenous groups remain custodians of sea country, partnering in reef management and conservation. 2. Symbol of Australia. The reef is an icon of Australia's natural beauty, often featured in tourism campaigns, literature, and film. Seen as a national treasure, it embodies Australia's unique environment and biodiversity, frequently used as a symbol of conservation and ecotourism, reinforcing the country's image as a land of natural wonders. 3. Global. Symbol of natural heritage. The reef is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world and has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1981, recognized worldwide as the largest living structure on Earth. Visible from space, acts as a global symbol of marine biodiversity and the interconnectedness of life. 4. Symbol of environmental fragility. In recent decades, the reef has also become a symbol of climate change and ecological vulnerability. Images of coral bleaching have turned it into an urgent reminder of the need for environmental action. Represents both the beauty of nature and the risks posed by human activity. 5. Inspiration for art. Science and tourism. The reef has inspired indigenous art, modern literature, documentaries, and scientific exploration. It draws millions of visitors each year, not only for its beauty, but also as a place of learning, research, and discovery. Visitor information. The Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef is one of the world's most visited natural attractions, drawing millions of tourists each year. It offers unforgettable experiences ranging from diving into vibrant coral gardens to exploring tropical islands and sailing crystal-clear waters. 1. Main access points. The reef spans a huge area, but several towns and cities serve as gateways, cairns. The most popular entry point, with numerous reef tours, cruises, and dive operators. Port Douglas, smaller and more relaxed, offering access to the Agincourt Reef System. Airlie Beach and the Whitsundays, known for sailing tours and access to Hart Reef and Whitehaven Beach. Townsville and Magnetic Island, access to the Central Reef, including the famous SS Yongala shipwreck dive site. Gladstone and Bundaberg, gateways to southern reef islands like Lady Elliot Island and Heron Island. 2. Activities for visitors. Snorkeling and diving, the most popular activities, with options for beginners and advanced divers. Glass bottom boat tours, for those who want to see marine life without getting wet. Helicopter and seaplane rides, aerial views of Hart Reef and Whitsundays. Sailing and cruises, multi-day trips, exploring outer reefs and islands. Wildlife watching, turtle nesting, seabird colonies, dolphin encounters, and seasonal whale watching. Ecotourism. and research tours guided. Tours focusing on conservation and marine education. 3. Best time to visit June to October, dry season, ideal weather with calm seas, excellent visibility and comfortable temperatures, peak tourism season. November to May, wet season, summer, warmer waters and higher rainfall. Jellyfish season in northern parts. Protective stinger suits are recommended. Still a good time for diving, with fewer crowds and lush tropical landscapes. 4. Tourism impact. The reef attracts around 2 to 3 million visitors annually. Tourism contributes billions of dollars to Australia's economy and supports tens of thousands of jobs. Strict regulations. Under the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority, GBR-MPA, ensures sustainable tourism practices, including controlled visitor numbers in sensitive areas. 5. Conservation-oriented tourism. Many operators participate in eco-certification programs, ensuring minimal environmental impact. Citizen science initiatives allow visitors to contribute to reef monitoring and conservation projects. Education programs raise awareness about coral health and marine biodiversity, modern challenges and preservation. The Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef, despite its size and resilience, faces serious environmental threats. Human activity, global climate change, and natural stresses are altering its delicate ecosystems. Efforts are ongoing to preserve it for future generations. 1. Climate change and coral bleaching. Rising sea temperatures cause coral bleaching, a process where corals expel the algae zooxanthellae that give them color and nutrients. Major bleaching events occurred in 1998, 2002, 2016, 2017 and 2020, with some areas losing more than half of their coral cover. While corals can recover, frequent and severe bleaching reduces their long-term survival. 2. Pollution and runoff. Agricultural runoff, fertilizers, pesticides, and sediments from Queensland's farms flows into the Coral Sea. Excess nutrients fuel crown-off thorns, starfish outbreaks, which devastate coral populations. Urban waste, plastics, and chemical pollution also harm marine life. 3. Overfishing and illegal fishing. Harvest disrupts the ecological balance of reef species. Illegal fishing threatens populations of turtles, clams, and reef fish. Commercial trawling and unsustainable practices damage seagrass beds and seed beds. 4. Coastal development and shipping port expansions. Dredging and coastal infrastructure put pressure on reef ecosystems. The reef sits near major shipping routes, making it vulnerable to oil spills and ship groundings. 5. Tourism pressure with millions of annual visitors. Careless activities can damage fragile corals. However, eco-certification and strict regulations reduce tourism's footprint, making it one of the reef's better managed industries. Preservation and conservation efforts. Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority GBRMPA, established in 1975 to manage and protect the reef, regulates tourism, fishing, and conservation zones. UNESCO and World Heritage Status 1981. International recognition ensures global monitoring and protection. Reef 2050. Long-term sustainability plan launched by the Australian government to secure the reef's future through climate adaptation, water quality improvement, and sustainable development. Scientific research and coral restoration efforts include breeding heat-resistant corals, reseeding damaged reefs, and monitoring species health community, and indigenous involvement. Traditional owners are actively involved in managing sea country, blending cultural knowledge with modern science. Local communities support citizen science programs like IA on the reef, where visitors record coral health. Global significance of preservation. The reef is not just an Australian treasure but a global environmental symbol. Its decline would affect ocean biodiversity, fisheries, tourism, and even global climate balance. Protecting it is seen as a test of humanity's ability to respond to climate change. Summary table. The Great Barrier Reef aspect details location: Coral Sea, off the coast of Queensland, Australia. Length and size approximately 2,300 kilometers long, 344,400 square kilometers, larger than Italy or Japan. Structure: approximately 2,900 individual reefs and 900 islands, fringing reefs, barrier reefs, atolls, cays, lagoons. Formation: age: coral growth began 500,000 years ago. Current reef system: approximately 6,000 to 8,000 years old. UNESCO status: World Heritage Site, 1981. One of the 7 natural wonders of the world. Biodiversity: 400 coral species, 1,500 plus fish species, 4,000 mollusk species, 240 bird species, 7 marine turtle species, dugongs, whales, dolphins, sharks. Indigenous connection: Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples for 60,000 years. Dreamtime stories and traditional stewardship. Notable features: Heart Reef, Whitsunday Islands, Whitehaven Beach, Ribbon Reefs, and Cod Hole. Heron and Lady Elliot Islands, SS, Yangala, shipwreck. Dive tourism: approximately 2 to 3 million visitors annually. Activities include snorkeling, diving, sailing, eco-tours. Aerial flights. Best time to visit: June-October, dry season. Seas. Great visibility. Economic value: contributes billions of dollars annually. Supports tens of thousands of jobs in Queensland. Challenges: coral bleaching, rising sea temperatures, pollution and agricultural runoff. Crown prawns, starfish, overfishing, coastal development, shipping risks. Preservation efforts: Here era MAP a 1975. UNESCO Protection, Reef 2050 Plan, Coral Restoration, Indigenous Management, Ecotourism, Regulation. Symbolism: cultural heritage for Indigenous peoples, national icon of Australia. Global symbol of biodiversity and climate change. Awareness: the Great Barrier Reef is more than just the largest coral reef system on Earth. It is a living cathedral of biodiversity, a place where countless species find sanctuary, and where cultures have drawn meaning for tens of thousands of years. It stretches like a jeweled ribbon across the Coral Sea, visible even from space, reminding us of nature's power to create wonders beyond imagination. For Indigenous Australians, it is a sacred sea country, woven into stories of creation and spirituality. For scientists, it is a living laboratory, unlocking secrets of marine life and climate. For travelers, it is a dreamscape of colors and life beneath the waves, offering experiences found nowhere else on Earth. And for humanity, it has become a symbol of beauty, fragility, and urgency, a warning that even the grandest of natural wonders is vulnerable to our actions. Today, the reef faces unprecedented challenges: rising seas, warming waters, bleaching corals, and human pressures. Yet, it also stands as a beacon of resilience. Conservation efforts, indigenous stewardship, scientific innovation, and growing global awareness offer hope that this vast underwater kingdom can survive and thrive. To stand upon its islands, to dive into its lagoons, or to soar above its coral. Mosaic is to witness a masterpiece of life itself, a reminder of what we must protect, not only for ourselves, but for the generations yet to come. The Great Barrier Reef is not just an Australian treasure. It belongs to the world, to the oceans, and to the future of all living things. Protecting it is not only an act of conservation, but an act of gratitude for the greatest gift nature has given.